Hey guys, I'm Gerard Vashon, and today we're going to be taking a look at the new Toneforge Jeff Loomis from Joey Sturgis Tones. Awesome. Now that we've checked out the track, let's check out the session. So to start, these are the DIs that I was working with. Brutal, I know. So let's open up Toneforge Jeff Loomis. And let's do a quick overview of the plugin. So we've got your normal stuff, gate, input, output controls, tuner, manual. What's really cool now is there's a live group. I don't remember seeing this ever, but I really dig that you can actually MIDI control this now. And you can even do mono or stereo by this part over here. Let's go back to the actual modules that are in it. You've got your pedal section, which is going to have your compressor and overdrive. Your amp section, which is going to have a clean, rhythm, and lead amp. You've got your cab section, and what's really cool about this one is it doesn't just have Joey's match cab and the classic 4x12 stuff, but they've also got IRs from Bogren Digital matched up in here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first Toneforge that's actually allowed you to blend multiple IRs at once. And this sounds awesome. And for you guys who don't know who Jens Bogren is, Jens puts out some of the best sounding metal records I've ever heard, worked with so many massive bands, and his IRs are absolutely killer. And I found personally blending them with Joey stuff to sound incredible, absolutely incredible. Next, we've got the post pedal section, which is going to be your reverb and delay. Then we've got an EQ, which is super powerful. And then we've got this multi-band compressor at the very end. So for my rhythm tone, let's give that a listen. As you can see, it's a pretty pissed off tone, so I'll give you a quick walkthrough on what I did with that. So we've got your overdrive on with pretty standard settings. Then over here, we've got your main amp controls, and you also have a tube option, which I decided to go for the EL34. I found it sounded a little bit warmer with my pickups. And I ended up cranking the presence pretty high. I found cranking the presence never really got harsh, even with the master bus EQ that I have on. So I cranked that up. Bass is a little low. Once again, my pickups, they're pretty low end heavy. Cranked a lot of mids into this. Thought it just sounded great with a lot of mids. Dialed the treble back just to help compensate for my master bus EQ. And then my gain I have pretty reasonable. And as you guys can see, I'm using model 1 of the cab with the matched cab blended together pretty evenly. I just thought they sounded great together. You've got this nice clear top end on a lot of Jens's stuff, and Joey's has just got this really fat low end. So blending them I found really got exactly what I was looking for. Then on the EQ section, I'll let you guys hear before and after what I did. I didn't do too much though, to be honest. All I did was a little bit of cut at 240 and a very minimal boost at 1.5K. And this is what it's like before and after. And then the thing that was most important was the dynamic section on this guy. So with it off, you'll hear that the low end tends to bloom a bit, gets a little bit almost wompy sounding, like womp, womp, womp. And this kind of helps take care of that. So I have it actually going all the way up to 300. These pickups, when you palm mute, they bloom a lot. So before and after with that. And specifically on these palm mutes. As you can really hear that tightened up the low end so much, and made enough room to have everything else come through. And it just made it sound absolutely brutal. And then as far as what I did post, just a little bit of minimal stuff. I tend to have bigger guitar tones and carve away at them. I go a little bit too heavy on my mids. I like the way it feels when I play like that though. So before and after on my post EQ. And as you guys can hear, it is a little drastic, but it's not something that you couldn't do in this plugin. This is just me working around the mix that I already had set up here in this particular template. So these are all pretty minimal moves for the most part. Just a 1.5 dB cut at around 500, just getting rid of a couple ringing things that guitar tends to have. And then there was a tiny little bit of harshness at 2K. Once again, that's more that guitar than anything. And I also wanted to make some room for the leads as well. And then just a couple little whistly frequencies, which are pretty common. And then I just have a stereo expander, which is doing very, very little. I think I have it turned up to like 1.17. So not all that much processing going on in the guitars. I always go a little bit bigger with my tones and carve away. It just, to me, it's always sounded better doing that than adding. Now let's listen to that guitar solo. So on this one, it probably has my favorite feature on it, which is the shred knob. And what that's doing, it feels like it's an extra push before the gain stage. It could be after, but it feels that way to me when I play through it. And it's definitely like an upper mid, like 3K-ish push that I feel just does this really cool smoothing, almost vocal type thing to the guitar that I really enjoy. So let's hear that on, off, and everywhere in between. So, like I said, playing with that, it feels so good having that shred knob up. It does make it actually easier to shred, oddly enough. Maybe that's why Jeff Loomis is so good and I'm not. He doesn't need that knob. He's just perfect. So, once again, pretty standard EQ again. Just have my mids cranked up a bit. I like really mid-sounding guitar leads. I'm using the same IRs as before. They just sounded great all across the board. Then I've got a little bit of reverb and delay. If you guys look at this, I'm sure you can kind of pick up what type of reverb this is based on. But I'm using a plate, using a little bit of the mod. I thought it sounded cool. And then just a quarter note delay. Nothing crazy. I like the tone washed out a little bit though. I like having more lo-fi repeats. And that just did that for me. Then on the EQ section, I normally high pass my leads pretty high. But in this case, I actually just decided to use the built-in EQ and do that. I'll show you guys what I did before and after, on and off. And to give some context to that, I'll do it more in the mix so you guys can hear why I made these moves. So as you can hear, it gave some more low-end room to the rhythm guitars, which really need it. So that's why there's that big cut. I did do a little bit of a boost at 3K because it just wanted to jump out a little bit more, and that's where it seemed to jump out the most. And then I did a little bit of a cut at 5K. Like I said, I like really smooth-sounding leads. This is basically just counteracting my master bus EQ that I have on here because I already have a boost at 5K. And then once again, I just have this going. It's not doing too much, but it is helping out a little bit on the low end. Then we've got this clean tone over here. So nothing too crazy on here. I do have the compressor turned on. I basically just wanted to prevent it from getting too pokey sounding. I wanted a little bit smoother of a clean sound, nothing too transient heavy. But what was really cool on the clean amp was this clarity knob over here. To me, it seems to clear up the low mids a bit and just add some overall depth to things. And clarity. Because I'm not playing too many low notes in this particular part, you can't quite catch what it's doing, but it actually has been a really good effect on other clean parts that I've written. Once again, pretty standard EQ settings across the board. I tend to keep most things around the middle. Once again, using the same cabs as well. They just sounded great. So what was cool on this one is I used the blood setting on the reverb, and it just was really dark sounding. I absolutely love it. So with the mix cranked up on that, this is what that's like. I don't know, to me, that just sounds really, really cool being drenched like that. The blood one just fit the vibe perfectly. It's kind of dark and eerie. I like it. Then we've got the Echo Man. Once again, pretty similar delay settings. I just have my mix cranked up a little bit higher. I like having a more wet, clean tone. It adds a lot of ambiance. And then the EQ, I did go a little heavy on this one just because of my personal preference for cleans. So I actually dumped out everything at 200, added a little bit of 3K, and just added a little bit of low mids just because it felt a little anemic. So let's hear what that sounds like on and off. And really what this big cut right here is doing is more managing the low end from the reverb more than anything, just making it sound a little bit more lighter and more ethereal sounding. And then this isn't actually, though it's cranked, because I'm only playing high notes, you're not really getting any of that. Also because of this EQ move that I did before. What can I say about this plugin? By far, it has been one of my favorite plugins from Joey Sturgis Tones to play through. It feels so good to play through. It sounds great. The partnership with Bogren Digital, absolutely incredible. And the ability to blend IRs in this, it's definitely a game changer for the Toneforge plugins. The shred knob, it really does make it easier to shred, and it really does capture that Jeff Loomis vibe. Jeff has been one of my all-time favorite guitar players. My best friend Cameron introduced him to me when I was 14 and been obsessed ever since. He truly is one of my biggest guitar idols. Thank you guys all for checking out this demo of the new Toneforge from JST. Make sure you guys go over to joeysturgistones.com and grab this one. I cannot wait to hear what you guys do with it, and I promise you will not regret it.